what's the state of with the elephants? It's the same sort of story, isn't it?
Elephants continue to lose their habitat to human infrastructure, roads, railways, mines, towns, plantations, fields, and they're also killed for their ivory and in some places for their meat and for their skin and their tail hairs, bits of an elephant that you can sell.
And this goes to Vietnam and China.
So yes, when we're talking about elephants, there are 50 countries in the world with wild elephant populations, 37 in Africa. There used to be 38, 39, but a couple of countries have lost their last elephant. And 13 in Southeast Asia. And although they still have elephants, some countries are down to a few dozen or a few hundred, whereas in the past they would have had perhaps thousands or tens of thousands. So elephants have been vastly reduced in number, from 10 to 20 million in Africa and several millions, we don't know how many, across Asia. And now there's probably only 40-something thousand Asian elephants and perhaps 400,000 African elephants. So all we hear about is African elephants being hit by the ivory trade, but the Asian elephant is more endangered, and males that have tusks may be killed for their ivory. But the main threat to Asian elephants is loss of habitat and capture of babies. Because baby elephants can be used to make money as tourist attractions, as performing animals in circuses and shows, and even as pets to very, very wealthy people. Illegal, but if the money talks, then some people can get around the laws. So both African and Asian elephants, and in Africa we now know that there are two species of elephants, the savanna and the forest, that are sufficiently different that they're not just subspecies, they're separate species. So the three species of elephants that are recognised now are all in trouble. And the causes, there are some similar ones, loss of habitat to agriculture and roads, and dividing up their habitat. Kenya's just introduced a new railway to the coast. Fantastic. But the elephants that migrate back and forth now have to somehow get over or through or under the railway. And in some places, roads or railways are built with an underpass. And by dragging elephant dung through it, they soon realise that that's an easy way to pass. So there are instances where the infrastructure is taken into account, elephant movements, but where it doesn't, if you build a plantation across an elephant migration route, the elephants will walk through your plantation and they will eat what you're growing, or at least trample on it. And if you try and stop them, they may trample on you. So human-elephant conflict is a problem. But there are solutions, and gradually they're being applied. But that's where you have protected elephants and supportive communities. Where you have people buying ivory, then it's too easy to shoot elephants because they're problem animals, and then the ivory goes into the trade. And half the village comes with machetes and cut up the elephant and eat the meat, and everyone has a feast, and it's great. We got rid of a problem animal, and we got a belly full, and we made some money from the ivory. But unless that problem animal control is done by the authorities, it's illegal. And it's very depressing looking at the press coverage around Africa and Asia. Almost every day someone is killed by an elephant. Usually defending their crops or startling an elephant or behaving in a foolish way. Sometimes it's a daft tourist who gets too close. Sometimes it's a daft biologist who gets too close. As
I was going to ask you about.
Actually, that wasn't a daft biologist that got too close. It was an angry elephant that just had enough of humans, having been hassled the day before by illegal charcoal makers. And a couple of years earlier lost 8 members of its family to poachers for the ivory trade. And a misunderstanding with some local people who were shouting to each other near us that led this elephant to conclude it was happening again, that they were under attack again. And she courageously decided to take the fight to the enemy rather than just run away. And unfortunately, as I said, misunderstanding.
That was
the closest representative of my species that she could lay her trunk on.
Well, thank God you got away relatively unscathed. I mean, relatively unscathed. And another person, Ian, who I feel I should mention because I know that you've been working with her a lot, and that's Paula Kogumbu, isn't it?
Paula Kogumbu, yes.
And I just think sometimes it's quite useful for people maybe watching this film to kind of go, okay, that was great. Be nice to check out John in Congo and look for Paula in Kenya and see the wonderful work that she's doing.
Yes, Paula Kogumbu is an increasingly well-known and certainly very eloquent spokesperson for Kenyan conservationists.
Yeah.
And this is it's just really refreshing that the new generation of biologists and conservationists who care about wildlife are people who represent the country rather than visitors like myself or people who are the offspring of settlers from other parts of the world. Conservation is often seen as a white man's or a white woman's game, but of course it is for everyone, and that's why Paula and John Kehekwa and other Panut in Indonesia, the conservationists who are being recognised for the outstanding work they're doing, and they are outstanding in every sense. They stand out because they are citizens of that country who have understood the importance of conservation and are speaking for their countrymen and women. And many politicians haven't yet grasped the idea that wildlife is not just important economically because of the tourism, but because of the role it plays in the ecology of the country. And that it's not just a matter of keeping a few animals somewhere that tourists can go and see and take a picture of, and that's fine. The goal of conservation is not to have a few survivors of every species, it's to have functioning ecosystems.
Yeah.
And that requires populations of animals, which, if they traditionally moved, have to be given the space to move.
Yes.
And that means that not only do the animals move, but the plants move, because if elephants that have been feeding in Congo come into Uganda, they've got a belly full of seeds. They're dispersing the seeds, and vice versa.
Yeah.
And elephants that travel from Tanzania into Kenya, they're doing the same. And those ecosystems are important, not just because it's a nice destination for safari holidays, but because of the role they play in providing water and life for all of Kenyans and on a wider scale, the global community.
Yeah, wonderful.